peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur who is doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is.
It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, he is our son and he is our thief.
If you are deviant
Yes.
and I call you leader, probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth
Yeah.
in the security,
Yes.
governance,
Yes.
and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers,
Yes.
do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa.
The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
In the last 6 to 7 months, the war in Somalia has changed goalposts. The government of Somalia seems to have changed its modus operandi. Instead of supporting AMISOM and supporting the efforts of the other agencies and other countries that have gone in Somalia to support them, to help the pacification of Somalia, the return of Somalia to the world order. The government in Mogadishu has instead initiated a move towards fighting the same governments that went to Somalia to help them. A few weeks ago, the Kenyan government asked the international community to investigate the reports that were circulating in international media with concrete evidence that money was being channeled through so many sources, including those from Qatar, Turkey, and some other countries, Norway, and so on, that were trying to kill the peace that we are trying to build in Somalia. The Somalia Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television. This is the only television station in Sub-Saharan Africa that discusses Africa, what ails Africa, what kills Africa. This is the mobile command center for Africa, for Punchline Africa Television. I am Dr. David Matsanga, the man hosting this show this afternoon. I'm standing in for very many factors, including across in Nairobi. Sean Wesonga is standing in for Miriam Ogutu. Good afternoon, Sean.
A very good afternoon, Dr. Matsanga David from our Political Command Center. And of course, good afternoon to our viewers watching us across the world and the continent of Africa.
Thank you very much. This show talks about many things in Africa. Today, across the same continent in Nairobi, we have Olesisana Tawish as our correspondent, special editor's assignment. Good afternoon, Tawish.
Good afternoon, good evening, of course, good morning to our viewers and to you, Dr. Masanga, and of course, Sean Wesonga, Javan Karanja, and everybody else who has tuned into this program. It's a great honor to be part of this program this afternoon, Dr. Masanga.
As you see already, he has introduced the other panelists, but I will want them to test them and check. Good afternoon, Javan Karanja, the man from Nanyuki, the man from Nyeri, the Barbados, mountains, the man from the mountains of Mount Kenya, the center, the epic center of politics of 2022. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. David Matsanga. Good afternoon to our viewers wherever they are watching us from. And good afternoon or good morning, depending on where they are catching this broadcast from. And to the rest of the panelists, Douglas and Tawish, always a pleasure showing up on Punchline Africa Television. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Across in Meru, again the eastern part of Mount Kenya, is none other than the Mogadishu demolisher, none other than Douglas Kirimi, the man who demolishes Mogadishu. There is a gentleman by name Onyango, Dr. JJ Onyamre, comrade friend of mine. He's taken up the responsibility of defending Farimajo. I think you better also start debunking Farimajo. What do you think? Douglas Kirimi, test the microphones.
Good afternoon, Dr. David Matsanga, to our viewers. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, depending where you're watching us from. And also to my friend Olesisana Tawish, my friend Sean Wesonga, and also Javan Karanja from Nanyuki. Thank you for having me on the show, Dr. David Matsanga. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the demolisher of Mogadishu. Thank you very much, my dear brother. All of you today are unfortunate that we don't have ladies. But across the continent of Africa, there are quite a number of people watching us, standing in, watching to see what we can say. What ails Africa? What kills Africa? What destroys Africa? What ashames Africa? Nigeria is ashaming Africa. It's a huge population of 200 million people. They are not solving their problem politically. Nigeria's problem needs political solution. It does not need kidnap, arrest, judiciary, execution of human beings. No. Thank you. We shall come back there on that subject today. But first in Kenya, let's look at the political tidings. Go back to none other than Daniel Wesonga in the headquarters of Punchline Africa Television, the only television in Africa. Pan-African station 6 years ago, when we embarked on this exercise to set up this television. We started by highlighting the plight of the people of Amazonia, the people of Biafra, the people of South Sudan, the people of Libya, the people of Mogadishu, Somalia. We did so. The people of Democratic Republic of Congo, the people that were under heavy human rights abuses that were taking place in those countries. Now, today, we have vindicated But we have been saying for the last 6 years that the human rights abuses across the continent of Africa, especially in the places I've mentioned, have grown from bad to worse. The situation in southeastern Nigeria is very dangerous, very ashamed, very degrading for a country, a huge country with a population which should be serving the people. It is instead eating its own people. What a shame. But back in Kenya, let's look at the headlines, Mr. Investigative Journalist.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, today being a weekend, we have a lot that has been happening here in Kenya. And I'll just go to the Sunday Nation. And on the side there is the secrets of Ruto Museveni talks. And of course, the deputy president the other day was in Uganda to meet the long-serving president of Uganda, Kaguta Yoweri Museveni. And that is captured in the page 20 of the Daily Nation there. And of course, it hints that the two men have some commercial interests where they engage in large-scale farming in Uganda, amongst also the political talks that have been ongoing there between Museveni and Dr. William Ruto. So, of course, these are topics that has brought in a lot of emotions, not only here in Kenya, but also on the Ugandan side. So we're just going to be looking at that. Also, on the main headline there on the Daily Nation, the Sunday Nation rather, is the making of a grand coalitions. And this reads to all of the 5 political leaders assembled by President Uhuru Kenyatta, team to craft the broad-based coalition ahead of the general election is only tenable if it listens to the individual, it hastens their individual chances of being the next tenant of State House. And that is something to do with the lucrative unity of the core NASA principles.
Okay. Go on. We wanted the headlines.
Yes.
Then we come into the proper discussion.
Yes, and of course, I'll just proceed now to the Standard newspaper, and the headlines there is why Uhuru must lock out UDA in Kiambaa, and of course, that is something to do with the oncoming Kiambaa by-election, which will be happening, I think, the next weekend, and that says that for Jubilee Party, anything short of a victory will confirm its dwindling support base in Uhuru's backyard and complicate his succession plan. So that is the Sunday Standard. And just down there, they're talking about, again, the NASA leaders must unite or perish in 2022 polls. And that is according to the ODM party leader, Raila Odinga. So just also going deeper into details, and it captures mixed feelings as South Sudan marks 10th Independence Day. So that is in regards to the top headlines that we are having for the leading newspapers here in Kenya. So maybe if you could just come back, maybe start with what the Sunday Nation talks about, the meeting between President Kaguta Yoweri Museveni and the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto. I take it back to you, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much. Before we go to that, because the agenda is well read, and let me straighten the agenda. The agenda of today's show is one, I think that is what Sean should tell us, read the whole agenda. The Ottawish across, you have seen the flyer, can you read it, Sean?
Yes, and of course, today's agenda on the African Showdown, we shall be looking at the mega showdown coming up in Kenya. And of course, we anticipate that we are going to be having elections next year. And also, we will be looking at Ruto's visits to Uganda, which has sparked row within Uganda and the region. And also, we're going to be looking at the president's visit to Ukambani, which happened last Friday. and of course its significance in terms of unity. And lastly, we're going to be looking at this issue of Jubilee Jubilee party, and that is Jubilee winning the Kiambaa or not? That is in regards to Kenya. But if we go wide, if we cast the net wide into Africa, then we shall be looking at Nigeria, and that is in terms of, is it an embarrassment to Africa, Nigeria? And also, of course, something is happening in southern part of the continent, and that is South Africa. Is Jacob Zuma a victim of bad judiciary in Africa? And after that, of course, we're going to be looking also at another South African country, and that is Zimbabwe. And that is IMF ignores opposition propaganda. Zimbabwe is recovering. And lastly, we are going to go all the way to the northern part of the continent in Ethiopia, where we shall be looking at the election there. And the question is, whose election was it in Ethiopia? Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much. We shall be looking at the topics. Let's begin with the topic in that order. Yes, introduce it to us, Tawi. The topic on the front, the first one. What does it say?
Very well. Thank you so much, Dr. David Matsanga, and indeed everyone who is watching this program. It is more of course, the politics, the unfolding events in Kenya in the run-up to 2022 general election. And of course, you've seen so much activities also with the impending by-election, which will be happening on 15th of this very month in Kiambaa and Muguga ward. And it is really seen a showdown between the ruling Jubilee Party and United Democratic Alliance that is being actually fronted by none other than Deputy President William Ruto himself and his Tanga Brigade. Of course, there's been a series of campaigns to try and move voters and see whether really which candidate is going to carry the day when it comes to that election or voting day. But again, Dr. Matsanga, in the lead up to this program this afternoon, of course, there have been events in Kiambaa.
People want to see you.
There have been events, Dr. Matsanga. There have been events, of course, happening in Kiambaa. As we speak today, of course, I've seen Ndidi Nyoro, the MP for Kiharu, of course, clashing with the police in that particular region this very morning, just because they wanted to stage what I would call a kind of a match, a competition, a match in terms of course, pitching the UDA candidates, the UDA supporters in that particular region. But again, the police have moved in swiftly to stop the same, of course, looking into the COVID-19 protocols and guidelines that has been issued by the Ministry of Health. The police have said it is not possible for them to continue with that particular march in that particular place. But Dr. Matsanga, I think largely when we talk about the showdown that is looming in Kenya ahead of the 2022 general election, already there's a precursor of what appears not to be a good scenario altogether. Because again, yesterday I was listening to Tanga allied MPs and politicians, of course, speaking in these very constituencies in Kiambaa. And there was one politician in the name of Margaret Wanjiru, the former Sarehe member of parliament, who came out and said they are preparing to swear in Deputy President William Ruto in next year's general election, which apparently throws into confusion. Rather, it makes it look like it's already decided, it's already something that has already been established, that Deputy President William Ruto will be winning this election, whether or not Kenyans are going to vote for him. It is like what happened in 2017, Dr. Matsanga, when we had Raila Odinga go and swear in himself. So those are some of the things, I suppose, even the panelists, as we try to dig in this particular topic, we should be in a position to reprimand and rebuke, because it does not set a very good precedent and stage, especially as we prepare the next year's general election, Dr. Matsanga. Already emotions are going high, political temperatures are going high, Dr. Matsanga, and we must say it as it is and stop these politicians. Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. The question is, and stick to the program, please, yes, which is the first. We say a show, there is a big showdown coming, looming. The showdown is very clear that President Uhuru Kenyatta must make and will make a decision. It is very clear that Jubilee is not the same party. Jubilee is divided. The government has a deputy president who is not talking on the same wavelength like the president. The deputy president is fielding candidates against his wrong party. and yet he remains in the party. Yet he pretends to be a member of the government. Yet he earns the salary as a leader. Yet he goes around the whole world, including going to Uganda as a deputy president who is earning the salary of the report from Uganda he doesn't bring it to the cabinet. The question here is, don't you see a showdown looming? Answer yes or no.
Precisely, Dr.
That's what I want. I don't want many stories today.
Yes, precisely.
Go ahead and explain and justify your point.
Yes, precisely, Dr. Masanga. I think it lays the stage for a mega showdown in as far as our politics is concerned. Just like you've said, Dr. Masanga, of course, there's no need even to emphasize, there's no need, of course, Dr. Masanga, to be repetitive. I think it is as open, it's as black and white. The Deputy President William Ruto has braced himself for a real showdown with President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I think this is something that is not very good. It's not healthy for a nation that is working towards a unity of purpose. Dr. Masanga, I submit.
Thank you very much, Jawish. That is exactly where we are heading. Jabani Karanja, and I think you know about a showdown. Isn't it time for the president to move in and say, this is my last term of office. This is what I want to leave a legacy. I am here defending a legacy. I don't want to hear anything. Dr. Matanga, I don't want to hear anything. You and I and Tawish, we are defending the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Full stop. We want a legacy. When his term comes to depart, Tawish, Matanga, and Jabani Karanja, Douglas Kirimi, and Sean Wesonga, we want to see what the president has done for this country. What has he left behind? Infrastructure, development, economic empowerment. What is it? Is there a need for what we call in political science fatigue evaluation? Karanja.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. David Masanga. I'd agree with Tawish that there is a showdown in the political arena in our country because we have a long deputy president who is going ahead to do opposite of what the president wants to be done. Recently, he was in Uganda in the capacity, I don't know whether in the capacity of the deputy president or at his own personal capacity as the DP Ruto, because the kind of agenda that he went to Uganda is not an agenda that represents the government or represent the people of Kenya. Therefore, he was on a personal mission. Maybe
we are coming, Karanja, yeah. We are coming. Today, I'm very strict on time and focus. We are coming.
Yeah.
On the question of Uganda, I'm asking, is there a looming showdown? What should the president of the country do and the president of Jubilee party do? That is the question I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There's a showdown. And the president needs to crack the whip and ensure that someone is impeached or someone takes the route where he will not disturb the government or disturb the ordinary people of Kenya, going around the country, intoxicating their minds with agendas that don't fit them. Therefore, it is high time that the president cracks the whip and everyone who is rogue, anyone who is causing headache in the Jubilee, anyone who is an irritant, anyone who is a strain in Jubilee need to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karanja. Douglas Kirimi, is it time to crack the whip? My friend of
Dr.
Yes, come for it.
Thank you, Dr. David Matsanga. And what we are experiencing today, Jubilee Party, is very regrettable. And I have said before, and I will repeat it, it is about time the president chased Dr. William Ruto from Jubilee Party of Kenya, chased every member from Jubilee Party. They can choose to go either way, because this time round, the president of the Republic of Kenya needs to make a decision on the way that the country, the ruling party, shall go. William Ruto has chosen the way of UDA. There is no back and forth, Jubilee UDA, Jubilee UDA. William Ruto should be chased out of Jubilee with immediate effect, and all his allies should be impeached from Deputy President William Ruto should be impeached immediately so that his other allies can also seek a fresh mandate from the people of Kenya. Without blinking his eyes, the president should crack the whip at this point because he has gone even to his own backyard in now Kiambaa. This afternoon, Dr. William Ruto and his supporters are sabotaging a Jubilee meeting in the name of a tournament that was not actually supposed to be happening in that primary school, in Karuri Primary School, in the first place. Dr. David Matsanga, it is about time this showdown between the president and the deputy president, we see who is who this time round. The president of the Republic of Kenya, who is the Jubilee party leader, should be able to reign on his own deputy, who is a very rogue man. Because Dr. Masanga, we cannot continue having a rogue deputy masquerading as a Jubilee leader. At the same time, he is also building his UDA party as he destroys and dismembers the legacy and also Jubilee party of the president, President Uhuru Kenyatta. We have seen Raila Odinga take charge at ODM. We have seen Kalonzo Musyoka at Wiper. We have seen other parties, Moses Wetangula at Ford Kenya. This time round, David Matsanga, we need to be able to crack the whip. We need to be able to take Dr. William Ruto end on, because this man is taking the president on end on. There is no point for a showdown. He needs to be shown the door so that he can be fighting from UDA. At this point, Dr. David Matsanga, what we are having today is a rogue deputy who does not even respect his own party leader. His boss, Dr. Uhuru Kenyatta. We need to be able to tell him the truth. He needs to sack Dr. William Ruto from Jubilee party and chase him away so that he can continue his agenda or together with his allies in their own party, which is UDA. At this point, Dr. David Matsanga, we are having people who are very ungrateful, riding on the name of the president, government projects, and also the government that was formed by Uhuru Kenyatta, President Uhuru Kenyatta. We need to be able to point it out now that it is time we let go William Ruto and his friends so that they can go to UDA and be able to carry the agenda there. Sack Dr. William Ruto and impeach Dr. William Ruto as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. He is the UDA leader. He is no longer a member of Jubilee Party. Why? Because according to the bylaws at the Registry of Political Parties, you cease to become a member of another party, of your party, when you continue propagating the ideas and ideals and aspirations of another party, including its activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have hit the point home. Time has come for fatigue evaluation. Sean Wesonga.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Matsanga. And of course, I agree. Yes.
We are now in the headquarters. In summary, we have gone everywhere, and Douglas has said time has come for us to stand and say enough is enough. The president has watched this game for almost 3 years now. The man is no longer with you. Have things fallen apart in the Jubilee Party? Go ahead, combining even the other motion down there is Jubilee Party going to win the Kiambaa seat. We don't need to have a lot of time on this. We want to move fast. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Matsanga. And of course, I totally agree with all the panelists who have given their opinion. And it's crystal clear that we are going to have a stalemate in Jubilee. We are going to have a Waterloo if the president and those concerned do not act. How, the situation that is there in the Jubilee party right now is what I'll put in Latin, ipse, res ipse locita, which means the thing speaks for itself. So it is very, very clear that there is a problem in Jubilee. And what the president needs to do is what my fellow panelists have said, especially my good brother Douglas Kirimi Bundi, is for the president to initiate a purge and be able to get rid of his deputy president from the party and also those who are allied to him. I think that will be the best way forward so that the president remains with the people who can be able to assist him finish his last term with a bit of gusto and be able to achieve his Big Four agenda. I submit, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much. Lead us to the second topic. Combine it. President Museveni last week met the deputy president of Kenya in Kampala. I'm a Ugandan, and therefore I will not speak on this subject. I allow you yourselves, Kenyans, to speak on this subject. Let me begin with Wesonga Sean. What you are an observer on the media, social media, Twitter. You have seen how the Ugandan millions and millions of youth have turned and brought heat on Ruto's Twitter handle. I think very soon it is going to fall to close down because the Ugandan media, social media, Twitter handle and the others have now known exactly what Dr. William Samoei Ruto is and what interest. Ugandans have followed it very carefully. What has been reported here on page what? You said page 9 is not. It is not all. And therefore, for me to do justice to this, to the viewers and those who are listening to me, I recuse myself from the debate. Take it over Tawish, Javan, and Section Vima plus Douglas. I would like Douglas to return here to take part in the debate. You have only 7 minutes to do so, to 10 minutes. Take over.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, just like many other Kenyans, and especially the Kenyan youth who watched the kind of meeting that Dr. William Ruto had with His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, it depicts of an unholy alliance between Museveni, who has been accused of very grievous discrimination and human rights violations in Uganda. And of course, that goes back to the just concluded general election where he was competing against Robert Chagulanyi and the other opposition parties. And therefore, when you see William Ruto meeting President Kaguta Museveni, then it showcases the height of hypocrisy that the Tanga Brigade here in Kenya actually are, because Museveni is not a hallmark of democracy, and whenever they speak about democracy and having maybe a Kenya that will be able to be turned around by the election of William Ruto as the president, then it beats a lot of it beats logic to imagine that the two could actually sit in a room and have a very, very progressive conversation. And I'm actually appalled that the supporters of William Ruto have been quite silent on this particular meeting that happened in Uganda last week. But I would really also like to laud our Ugandan counterparts, because Ugandans have come out boldly to condemn and actually criticize the dalliance between Museveni and William Ruto. And that tells you that this is a very illicit and unholy alliance that do not benefit Ugandans, that do not benefit any Kenyan. And of course, the Sunday Nation puts it that these two individuals are in some kind of partnership. They are doing some kind of business in agriculture and all that. But like you say, Dr. Matsanga, there is more that meets the eye in this particular deal. We know the kind of shady deal that our deputy president has an appetite for, and that couldn't be further from the truth of his tour into Uganda. And that is perhaps the reason why he sneaked out of the country to go and meet President Kaguta Museveni. And like my good friend Douglas Javan Karanja said, we do know the capacity by which the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya went to meet President Kaguta Museveni. But as it is very retrogressive. It really derails even the ideology that his supporters always seem to advocate for. I submit, Dr. Matsanga.
I said you handle the debate. Then you
yes, now I'll just maybe perhaps pass over the baton to my good brother Tarwish Olesesina, who is in Narok, to come and give his views regarding this visit to Uganda. And of course, it has sparked a row within Uganda and also here in Kenya. What is your take on that particular topic, Tarwish?
Thank you so much, Sean. In my own considered opinion, Sean, there wouldn't be any, of course, there would be nothing wrong really for, say, William Ruto and President Museveni really to meet. The only thing that worries Kenyans and now worries Ugandans, I think, is the motive behind the meeting. Because again, William Ruto goes there and speaks authoritatively as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya in a government that he has already disowned, in a government that it does not read from the same script with its leader and boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta. So in itself, I think it is a bit hypocritical of William Ruto to purport to be representing or speaking on behalf of the Kenyan government when he's already taken a different lane altogether. I think that is very unfortunate of him. It's something that he should be told of. Second, we all understand that, of course, we have elections next year here in Kenya, and the Deputy President William Ruto himself has also declared the interest to contest for that particular seat. It is one of those competitions that he has declared a do-die war, that he must get this seat, doesn't matter what it takes. And therefore, when he goes and meets President Museveni in Uganda, and even attempting to implore on him to try and help him mend fences with President Uhuru Kenyatta, it speaks of a very stubborn and a very stubborn child who fights the father and goes to the uncle to ask the uncle or the elders to come and intervene when he's the one who has rattled the father. I think because, again, Museveni cannot make it to come and speak to President Uhuru Kenyatta in an attempt to try and strike a truce between President Kenyatta and his deputy in as far as the political differences are concerned. Because, again, President Uhuru Kenyatta is a person who is focused on building a unity of purpose, ensuring that all people who live in this country, all Kenyans, live together as brothers and sisters. But William Ruto is a person who is carving a different, of course, a different narrative altogether, a narrative that seeks to divide this country along the have and have-nots, along tribal lines, something that we are trying to fight as a country. So, Wesonga, just in brief, I suppose this meeting is something that needs to be relooked into because, again, with William Ruto and such kind of machinations, we may not be having a good elections after all in 2022, understanding who Museveni himself is, a person who does not, of course, even give room for the opposition, who does not give room to the voice of dissent, is a person William Ruto is looking up to in terms of being a mentor or guiding him in as far as next year's general election. So Kenyans should be more worried that William Ruto is trying to learn or is trying to use Museveni as his role model, especially in his quest to become the president next year. In any case, I submit that Museveni is the last person that William Ruto should rely if he wants to learn one or two things in as far as leadership is concerned. I submit, Wesonga.
Okay, thank you so much, Tarwish Olesasina from Narok. And of course, Jevan Karanja, Tarwish says that President Yoweri Museveni has been a brand of totalitarian regime and a repressive regime in Uganda for the over 3 decades that he's been in power. And when you see William Ruto going to Museveni, and we are only left with a few months to the general election next year, are we seeing maybe some signs that perhaps next year general elections could be marred with these tactics, perhaps that just by association, William Ruto is borrowing notes from President Kaguta Yoweri Museveni? What should Kenyan expect out of this? What is your worry from this particular kind of association between the Deputy President and President Museveni? Karanja.
Thank you very much, Wesonga. And I will not differ much with what my brother Tarwish have said, because we know who Museveni is, the president of Uganda. He is a dictator. He is a guy who have suppressed the freedom of media, the freedom of expression, and to a point where the opposition is not vibrant, opposition is nowhere to be seen. Is a man you cannot just criticize openly and live away with. Therefore, this is a dangerous man altogether. And also, when you look at the character of the deputy president, it is not much different with that of Museveni, because the deputy president that we have in this country is a one-man affair, is a man who dictates to himself what he should do, is a man who does not learn from others, is a man who is full of himself, and to some extent he is a chest thumper. He goes around intimidating everyone who is around him. We have seen him go around the country intimidating and blackmailing other regional leaders in the country. Therefore, this is a man who, if he happens to become the president, and if he is emulating what Museveni, the president of Uganda, is doing, we be having a president who will take us back to the old days of Nyayo regime, where you could not criticize the president, where the opposition had no voice. And Wesonga, all this is what culminated with the repeal of Section 2A because of the suppression of our freedom of expression and the political growth in the country. Therefore, when you see that kind of relationship, that kind of crummy dry that they are forming, the president of Museveni and the deputy president. They are very good buddies, and it is said that birds of the same feathers flock together. Therefore, at the end of the day, show me your friends and I will tell you who you are. That is the kind of scenario that we are leading from this kind of relationship. And so unfortunate that the deputy president of our country, Deputy President William Ruto, is going to Uganda to commission biological vaccine industries and industrial and other health-related revolutionary agendas in Uganda. But here in the country, we are still struggling with the effects of COVID-19. But you have not seen the deputy president bother to ensure we have maybe the Camry in our country is empowered to ensure maybe we can produce a vaccine of our own, or to ensure that we can have at least some other medical equipment sorted in the country. But he is busy commissioning those kind of advanced technological industries in Uganda. Here in the country, he is donating wheelbarrows to the youth in the name of empowering them. But when he goes to Uganda, he is accompanying the president of Uganda while he is opening mega projects that will create hundreds of employment to the youth. If that is the kind of leader that we want really? No, because a leader is known, and we say charity begins at home. We need to see what the deputy president is doing to better the livelihoods of Kenyans, rather than going outside there in Uganda to portray himself as a good man. But here in home, we know him of a man of different cloth from what he was wearing in Uganda. Therefore, it's unfortunate, and the deputy president is a master of double speak. When he is in Uganda, he is speaking some sweet words, empowering, giving hope. But when he comes to the country, the action that he is doing, the kind of deeds that he engaged into are not things that give hope to the ordinary Kenyans. Therefore, if this is a kind of relationship that we have as Kenyans, we need to be worried, because if he is emulating, and we know the kind of elections that usually take place in Uganda, they are chaotic, there are a lot of malpractices, it is not credible, it's not neither verifiable. If that is the kind of man that maybe we hope to have as a president in future, we might not even have the space to have a free and credible elections in this country. Therefore, I submit by saying we need Kenyans to relook on the leaders that we need to take us to the next level. At least in the minimum, we need a leader who can better, or who can do better than what President Uhuru Kenyatta has already established. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jevan Karanja in Nanyuki. And of course, you say birds of a feather flock together, and show me your friends and I'll tell you who. So that is a powerful. And I'm told we are joined by Saxon Zivina and Ambassador Maina Ghana. But I'll just go to Douglas Kirimi Bundi before I hand it over to Dr. Matsanga David. So Douglas, Tarwish and Javan have talked about this kind of dalliance between Museveni as not being viable, because in terms of ideological assemblance, it means that perhaps the deputy president could be borrowing something maybe which is not quite good in terms of principles and all that from President Kaguta Yoweri Museveni. But in your capacity, do you think that there's anything fishy happening beneath the veneer that our Kenyan security agencies, the intelligence agencies, should be able, maybe they should be worried about between in all these the dalliance between President Kaguta Museveni and the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya? What is your take on this, Douglas Kirimi? Yes, Douglas seems to be...
Douglas is not there. Move to any of the two.
Yes, in this regard now, maybe I'll start with Saxon Zvina before I go to Ambassador Maina Ghana. So Saxon, we've seen the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, of course, having been on this show before, you understand that the relationship between the President of the Republic of Kenya and his deputy has not been quite cordial. And last week, the Deputy President jetted out of the country to go and meet the President of Uganda, President Kaguta Yoweri Museveni, and this has sparked a lot of row between in Kenya here and also in Uganda. But more specifically, because Kenya is heading to the general election next year, people have been having speculation of this particular tour to President Kaguta Museveni. What will you make of it, a deputy president going to meet the neighboring president without the consent or maybe the approval of the president of his country, his boss, so to say? What will you make out of it?
Oh, it's more for disrespect, and actually, he's building alliance for himself with President Kaguta. I think by disregarding President Uhuru Kenyatta, he showed disrespect. He's showing his true intentions that he has no interest. He is power hungry. The reason now even he participated in the opening of the COVID-19 setup is trying to show the electorate that I can do this project. That's why I'm associated with this one. That's why he's trying to downplay the efforts of our president Uhuru Kenyatta by associating with Kaguta Museveni. Is just showing you the type of person he is, and people need to be worried, prepared for bloody elections. That's my take. I submit.
Yes, thank you, Saxon Zvina from Harare in Zimbabwe. And of course, in the interest of time, I'll just move swift and bring in Ambassador Maina Ghana. Of course, Ambassador, you've heard whatever situation that we are having here in Kenya. And of course, I believe you are also much aware of the leadership of President Kaguta Yoweri Museveni in Uganda. It has been accused of very grave allegations of in terms of purging people who advocate for democracy, in terms of also just the fact that he's overstayed in power for 3 decades. He has been spearheading a very, very repressive regime in Uganda. And here we have the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, and of course, who is also eyeing to become the president of Kenya. What does that kind of relationship between these two leaders bring on your mind? What do you make out of it, Ambassador Maina Ghana?
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, the panels. For the last 2 weeks, I'm not following exactly the politics in East Africa because we were busy, to restructure our country in Chad. Mm-hmm. So, if you did not build your house, you can't go and blame your neighbor. So, if I tell you right now, I have any idea, I cannot. Dr. Matsanga is true. Thank you, Doctor.
I rescue you from the question. Thank you very much. Let's move on right now. Tawish, Javan Karanja, Sean Wesonga, Saxon Vina, Douglas Kirimi has missed this. I don't know what has happened. He must have lost some power, wherever he is. I have no words to say on the question of Uganda, because I don't want to be accused of using my television to talk about Museveni or to talk about anything. I left it to you Kenyans to assess for yourselves. And I've done it ably now. But for me, what I know is bigger than what the situation is. Remember, I've been in this game for more than 42 years of my life. I started together with Museveni as a member of the Uganda National Liberation Front. We have been together. We fought battles of UNLF. We removed Lule. We removed Binaisa together. He was the chairman, vice chairman of Military Commission. I was there in the political and diplomatic commission with Nasasira. The Elida Nasasira who died, not this one. The one there around there, Kampala eating food. Look, I am my brother, Professor Rugumayo. Professor Edward Rugumayo, look at my face. This is the small man who was with you in the political and diplomatic commission. I'm still alive. And I told you, Rugumayo, in Lusaka when we met, when you are the Minister of Trade in the government. You remember the words I told you, Professor Edward Rugumayo. In Arusha Moshi, in 1979, 8, 9, I was a younger man, but still I knew politics very well. And Rugumayo taught me one word, that as a youth, there is something that we call positive neutrality. And I want to tell you, the younger men on this show, once you grow with that positive neutrality, you live beyond my age of 65 today. Positive neutrality. Angalia where you can criticize, angalia where you cannot. So I chose not to say anything much around there. I just wanted to remind you that as far as Uganda is concerned, I've been in the UNLF. I have been there. I saw the removal of Lule. I saw we removed Binaisa. Together with President Museveni, we did. Lule, we did. He was part of it. We removed him. Yes. We were all working under one house. The Nile Marshals. The current Serena. We removed. We were there. I was physically there. So I know exactly what, if you see me not commenting, Dawish, take it. It's something that I know. Which Kenyans?
Daktari.
By the way, some security men here, they are saying they know. I know. Look at this face again. I know. And that's why, for me,
Daktari, can I say something?
Okay, you always go to
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
They say that when you grow older, you will come to discover that criticism itself is not a wisdom.
Thank you.
And the more we grow, the more we find out criticism is not a wisdom, Daktari.
That's why I told you, Professor Edward Rukumayo, the Big Five, Yashitandon, Nabudere, Rukumayo, Omonyo Job, we are the men under Nasasira, the late Nasasira, not this one, not this corrupt one. We were the people. UNLF, we formed the Ugandan National Liberation Front diplomatic offices in the Kampala. President Museveni was our deputy. For some Kenyans who don't know, there are some younger boys calling me, oh, come and do this. I warn you, don't call me to such stupidity. I have seen a lot. I can as well go home. Don't call me. I am really pissed. I don't want to show it here. Someone made a call telling me some nonsense. But I am telling you, when you see an old man like me quiet and recusing myself from a discussion, you know I know a lot, isn't it? So the best thing I choose is to keep quiet. There is a war in South Sudan. Salva Kiir on Friday, Koinange tried to ask him on Wednesday, why is the war in South Sudan not ending? Kaina Maina, Saxon Vima, Tawish, Javan Karanja, and Sean. I know a lot. But that is why I am 65, and that's why you are 29. Another one is 20, 30. That's the truth. I'll keep quiet. But the area you check on this type of cantankerous behavior, the area you check on this cantankerous behavior, the area you check on the fear of funds fanon, of violence and the violence alone, that once you use violence, you rule the people. You make them poor. Poverty created, instilled fear. You then come back and say, I am the best candidate for the slot. Tawish, isn't it happening here? Unless I studied a very wrong subject. Karanja, isn't it happening here?
It is happening. It is happening.
Unless I
It's the reality that we're dealing with.
Sean, isn't it happening here? We are foreigners on this TV. Saxon, Ghana, isn't it happening? Isn't somebody instilling violence? A theory of Stockholm syndrome. I have taught students, and some of them have even been getting the best PhDs than mine. So you tell me, man, who has just got a small category in manufacturing plants. Have you ever heard of someone growing a mango tree from not the original mangoes?
It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
If you get a degree in plants, can't you make another plant which is different from this one, which has more juice?
No, it's going to be tough.
Stockholm syndrome. Muchunge. Kenyans, be careful about Stockholm syndrome. And I would not be intimidated from saying I defend Uhuru Kenyatta is one of the best people as far as Kenya is concerned. He's tolerant. Very tolerant, Wesong. Very tolerant. No president. I remember Gaina Maina was telling us that under President Idris, you must prepare your plane on Jamena Airport runway. Then you can criticize him. You are the deputy. Then you go and the question I am asking, and I want to leave it to Kenyans, we'll switch on to other topics, is why? Why should a man, how on earth can a man purport to be a deputy president of the same government he dislikes to represent you as a government abroad? I think Tawish, you will have to discuss that tomorrow. No, today. It's a longer topic. How? So when you come back, you report it to who? You don't like the government. You don't like the president. You tell the president, I am not part of you. Your mistakes of the economy are yours. Then when you come back, you have used taxpayers' money. You have flown and eaten and even had some side shows, side kicks. You know, I don't want to mention those things. Now, and if you try with me, please, I am a deadly man on investigations. I can even tell you the bed sheets you used. Please, Niwachi, can we keep it there? Let's leave it there. I am here, and my fellow Africans, time comes when you stand up to talk. You know, with this age now, I am, you know, the way when I start speaking with this age, I now know why people blame Mr. What is his name? Mr. Atwoli. Can I tell you why? Now with my age, passing 66, coming to 66, I look like, when I see you, Maina, I want to tell you the truth. Have you noticed that? Because I don't want to kill.
That's true.
I don't want to kill these small children. I don't want to leave these younger men in trouble. And that's why now the new headquarters of Punchline Africa Television has been done properly somewhere. it is going to continue to do the work. Spreading the message across Africa. Let me tell you, let me tell you that it is very wrong for me to keep quiet. If Buhari is wrong, I tell you it's wrong, and Buhari is wrong. Buhari is shaming us in Africa. The problem of Nigeria is a political solution. It is not judiciary. You don't use it. Have you seen how the judiciaries are shaming us in Africa? A judge has had sex with Zuma's wife. The same judge sentences Zuma to go to jail. Is that the judiciary you want in Africa? Kwenda, you stupid. Mr. Zodo produced a kid with Zuma, the wife. Then came and did not tell Zuma. Why didn't he recuse himself from the case? Stupid South Africans. Kwenda. And if you don't tell the truth, who is going to tell the truth? Zuma can have his problems. Now I'm coming in summary. Jubilee is the backyard of President Uhuru Kenyatta. I want to support all the people of Jubilee Party. Bring me my t-shirt of Uhuru vote hunters. I'm now back to the race. Bring it! I am back to the race. I'm the heavy banana. You touch Uhuru in Kiambaa, Uhuru vote hunters. I just want to show you something. You can go on insulting. You are insulting people. The Kiambaa vote must be won. This is my t-shirt. I wore how many years? About 4 years ago. For the second rerun. For the second. Let Ruto show his t-shirt. His people did not vote in the second run. Look at the vote that came from the Rift Valley. Some of us broke our hands. I got an accident because I was looking for votes. In this, I was the chairman. When Songa, didn't you see me? Tawish, don't you have this? What is this name? So, Kiambaa, here we come. The president will win. And therefore, that's why I brought these topics. There is a looming showdown. After Kiambaa, then Gorbachev style. Don't be Gorbachev. Don't create perestroika when the glass notes are wrong. I teach political science, not in Africa, but in developed democracy that brought political science as a subject. Did you, let me ask you, is there any country in the world that arranges the subjects you always go to school to? Show me one. Have you asked yourself? Have you asked yourselves? Is there any country apart from Her Majesty's government, Her Majesty's country, Britain, that made chemistry, that made physics, that made biology? Which country created biology? Where Songa you claim to be very investigative. Now where Karanja, Nagaina that you have traveled, ambassador, to become an ambassador, didn't you learn diplomacy? Which country created diplomacy? Subject called diplomacy in the school. Isn't it Britain? So you tell me I did not start in the stupid New York University. I started in Britain, where the origin of education is. So I cannot go wrong on some subjects. Because in Britain, there is no cheating. You can't cheat in an exam. You have your reference number, 1. Your student number can tell where you went, how you went, whether you are sleeping in class like Wesonga never slept in class in Kenyatta University, was a bright student. That number alone will tell you. So when some people stand up and say we study of plants, what study of plants? What? Thank you very much. Let's give the president of respect. Viewers, thank you very much. Let's cross over to African matters. And I bring the subject to this, which is at Africa is my heart. And Africa stops from being Africa if we don't talk about it. The events that have gone over the last 3 weeks, we don't want to speak about it, but every time we open up our television, we are bombarded with a lot of questions. We want, without emotions, to tell our brothers from Biafra and Nigeria and the rest of the world that we don't work for the government. We are not a government broadcasting station. Neither do we work for the government or hired by the government to defend the government upon its own national, international matters. We only defend and we talk about what we know about Nigeria, about Cameroon, about DRC Congo, about Kenya, about Tanzania, about Zimbabwe. Saxon Zuma will know I am one of those few people who stood up in Britain to defend Zimbabwe when nobody wanted to touch Mugabe. The only man who stood up.
Yes.
And you see that.
English, they put it, and this is a quote, 441. This is the quote. And the name is Dr. Yes. The yes in English is there, and in Arabic is there also.
Maina, I don't know why you have left. In this book, if you go to one full chapter, you will find in this book here, you will find Morgan Changarai writing about me because I opposed him and I told him not to call for sanctions against Zimbabwe. We even had a physical fight with General in front of General Obasanjo, Thabo Mbeki, and Howard in the Melbourne House in London. I disagreed. Mbeki was on my side. Obasanjo was on the side of Britain to bring sanctions on Zimbabwe. I have stood for Africa. And therefore, I want to ask my Biafran people, for the last 6 years, I have been condemning General Mohammed Buhari. for the human rights abuses in southeastern Nigeria. So many people have died. So many young men have been killed. So many women, so many children have been raped, both men and women, by security forces and by people that the government should have been able to arrest, a government that protects its people. It turned out that the Nigerian government did not protect its people. The Boko Haram in the north have done havoc thanks to the French involvement in Africa by dismembering Libya. But Boko Haram grew up ISIS, Al-Qaeda in the Sahara region. I have been condemning these actors of General Buhari. I will continue to condemn them until the situation in Biafra and the whole of Nigeria changes. Therefore, we want to tell our Nigerian brothers, or Biafran brothers, that we have done this. We did it, and we shall continue to do it as volunteers. We are not mercenaries. Our television station is not a mercenary television station. It is never hired. We did not request for an interview. I'll repeat it and repeat it. The leader of IPOB requested us for an interview in May through his representative in Australia. And we accorded him 21st of May an interview when he was in London or wherever he was. We didn't ask his number. We didn't know his number. We don't know his number up to today. We interviewed him via Zoom. We gave him 2 and 14 minutes, 2 hours and 14 minutes of our satellite time. The message he passed around the world shook Buhari. The question is, I asked, shook Mr. Buhari. The regime went on offensive because the message had reached the main Africa and the whole world about the atrocities committed in Nigeria and Biafra. Therefore, the leader of IPOB is alive, and unfortunately under very bad conditions of the Buhari jails. He can tell the truth himself alone. He's still there. He should tell if he has ever spoken to any of us, including me, apart from 21st of May. And I promised that if he says he spoke to Dr. Matanga after 21st of May, and the doctor knew where he was, or anybody, then I ask God to take the judgment. He never spoke to us. We didn't know where he was. And we are not Kenya government. We want to repeat. If anybody wants to take the matter, take it up with the Kenya government. Don't take it through us. We are not the Kenya government. Ask other television stations also to take the matter. I am on your side, the people of Biafra. I'm on the side of the people of Amazonia. I'm on the side of the people of Libya who have been killed. I'm on the side of the people of Central African Republic. I'm on the side of the people of Chad. I'm on the side of the people of Somalia, not Al-Shabaab. I'm on the side of the people of Mozambique, not Al-Shabaab, which is growing down in Mozambique. Therefore, I'll continue to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you very much. I hope that clarifies that the more you continue talking about and accusing people the more you lose credibility yourselves, because we are not the government of Kenya to be bashed. If you want, ask the Kenya government. We don't have authority to hold anybody, anywhere, even a fly, in the territory of Kenya. Isn't it? We are just pure journalists, and we don't take briefing for somebody. We don't. The government has a Minister of Foreign Affairs. The people of Biafra, the leaders of IPOB, the lawyers, can write to the government of Kenya to seek clarification of what happened. But don't blame everybody in the world that you find on the social media. Thank you very much. On that note, we open up the subject by asking Gaina Maina, is Nigeria shaming us as an African country? Is it failing Ambassador Gaina Maina in surely a population of 200 million people? They are not able to organize themselves. Why are we Africans being laughed at every day? Look at the mess there. Look at the mess. The government of Nigeria cannot come out to say where they have arrested a person from. Where did they arrest Mr. Namudi Khan? This is the government is the one changing these statements against Kenya, because they are not saying where they picked Mr. Namudi Khan. The world must pin Buhari to say, where did you intercept Mr. Namudi Khan? In air, in the sky, in the Mars, in the moon? Gaina Maina, where? Where did you? Does government of Nigeria has a plane, an Air Force plane that can refuel from the air and take a person out of one aircraft to the other? I have not found one yet. So the government of Nigeria is the one embarrassing itself. And the international governments like Britain are coming in now. They have to explain where they got this man. Yes. Where? And the Attorney General of Nigeria coming to say, we got him, intercepted him. You kidnapped him. From where? So don't cause us, some of us, unknown, untold suffering for nothing. Clear the air. So is it a shaming Africa? Gaina Maina. Maina.
Yes, but me.
Your internet is not good.
And Dr.
We can't hear you properly, Ambassador. Saxon Vima. Saxon Vima.
The Nigerian case is a cause for concern for.
First of all, Saxon, you come from a country which has a huge number of Nigerian refugees, especially from Amazonia. Are you embarrassed? Are you embarrassed?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, okay. Saxon, wait a minute. Gaina, yes, Ambassador.
Yes, Dr. Ari, thank you so much for this opportunity, this kind of word, as someone who has at least a little knowledge about politics. But the main things we need to talk, that we have all to understand and come and agree that each of us need one of us. We need each other at the end of the day. Disintegration or problem has never fixed any place. That we need to come together to make sure that we see at the past, we try to learn about this past and sit down to this present, how to prepare a better future. We have talked. The network is really bad with my side. I don't know. Can you guys hear me? So we have to understand that either we like it or not, in the whole Africa, we are bound to live together. Even though now we divide Africa in 104 countries, beside the 54, we add 100. At the end of the day, each country needs the other to survive, because we need to interact, we need to transact, we need to live together, we need to intermarriage, we need even to move from one place to other to go and live to find a better life. That is what making this world a great place. But where I'm come to understand, when you take children from different part of this world, you take one Chinese, one the European, one Arab, one South American, you put them together. When they are kids less than 7 years old, you will see all of them will come to be bind together, to talk together, to eat together, to even find the solve problem together as a kid. Only when a man start to dividing them, to show them you are different, they don't know the difference. And if we are not going back to this kind of strategy to make sure that we can become this kind of kid that we need each other to support each other, when we waste a lot of time to blaming ourselves, things are getting worse and worse. The more we blame, the more things become worse. Now, we come to understand that a giant nation like Nigeria is falling apart. Things are not going the way it's supposed to be. But are those people who run in the country come to understand that things are not getting better? Or we outside the country, outside Nigeria, but as African, do we come to agree that things are not getting better, that we need to system? This is my question of the day. Are we ready to make sure that we can call these people to make sure that, guys, we need each other, even though we have our different opinion, our different view, but sometimes we need to sit down on the table at least to listen to each other, because without that, peace is going to be far away.
Okay,
that is the problem we're having in Africa, especially in Nigeria now. The misunderstanding. Yes, go ahead.
Go on, finish your point. Maina, finish your point. Ambassador
So
Maina.
the misunderstanding today, yes, sir, the misunderstanding today Nigeria have come to a level that even we African, we know that things are getting out of their control, but no one has decided to sit his opponent down to say that, my brothers, even though we don't agree, even though we don't like each other, but we are bound to sit down at least to know what is our main goal, that how can we make to solve these issues. There is 1,000 ways to solve these issues, except when people sit down and to find a way to address the issue. This issue needs to be addressed at anyhow, because we cannot continue this way in any part of this world, that people are not happy, the population are not happy, they are not understanding each other. Even the people of the government are not even getting along. I don't know which country having that, but it's not working. Thank you, Dr. Matsanga.
Yes, thank you very much. Is it time for Africa to sit together to avoid shaming each other? Thank you. That is a very serious question. And I want to tell Mr. Ibe Didi that Mr. Ibe Didi, Mr. Namdi Khan will come in court on 26th. Don't label us. We are not as corrupt as you, because you are known to be more corrupt than any African country and any human being on planet Earth. So if you think you have more insult to go on insulting us over something we don't know, Mr. Idi Ibe, we don't operate like you. We don't have a place, a route in Dubai at the airport where we are segregated like you. Because of your fraudulent activities. Not all of us can feed on Buhari, because Buhari is not useless. Buhari is useless to us. He has never fed any of our children. Some of our children are more brighter than Buhari's. and they work like you. So don't turn around and call us names. We don't know anything about Mr. Nnamdi Kanu's abduction. That we are not the Kenya government to answer Mr. Nnamdi Kanu's abduction. We don't control a state in Africa. And don't be myopic. Don't be stupid to call us names. Because in Dubai, at the airport, you have a route. Are you not ashamed to enter Dubai when they say Nigerian here and the rest of Africa there? Are you not? Are you not? Don't call others names, because we shall also tell you. Are you not? There are many refugees in my country. Very good, honorable Nigerians and Biafrans. There are many friends of mine in London, in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, who don't call me names. Don't try that. Because I have a package for you also. Go and look at the airport at Dubai when you enter. Then you ask yourself who you are. Don't call us, you think we can be bribed by Buhari. We don't live in this country because of Buhari's money. You are very stupid. You are the same agents of Buhari who turn around to masquerade as Biafrans and the Igbo people. You are very stupid young man. Get off my TV. And Stephen block him. Let him create another account. Stupid. Headquarters block him. We don't need you. Yes, even if you don't see this TV, you think we shall come and beg you? You are stupid. Get off. Go and look at the everywhere you go, you are the ones causing Africa even more problems. Are we not ashamed of you? Buhari started taking people in coffins in 1984. Was I there? Was I a Nigerian? Buhari stole Umar Diko and put him in a coffin in London. Was I the one who told him to do so? You rubbish. Don't tell me lies. I stand by the people of Biafra and the very sensible Biafrans, not lunatics. If you are a lunatic, go and talk to Buhari. You are the same agents of Buhari who have been put there to confuse the situation between Kenya and the other people. Look, why does the Nigerian government say why they got their prisoner? Why? Why don't you focus attention on Nigerian government? Why? Why are you focusing attention on the Kenyan government and the Zuma television, which is earning a living not out of Buhari, not out of Kenya government efforts? You are very stupid. Focus your attention on Buhari and ask Buhari, where did you pick? Let Buhari publicly tell the world why is he scaring? Because he knows the recommendation of United Nations human rights. He will not travel for medical treatment to Charing Cross Hospital in London. And Mr. Buhari, I'm telling you, you come to London, prepare for a big, you will be removed by helicopter in that hospital. You have touched the wrong nerve. I'm the man who mobilizes demonstrations in London. I'm the one who brought down Abacha and seized the embassy. When Chief Abiola, look at the pictures, you will see my face. You are joking with a bad boy. You will not be treated in London, anywhere near London hospital. Try to find another hospital to go. Yes. Time has come to tell the truth. We don't want to be blacklisted, black-named for things. Ask the Kenya government the truth. Don't ask us. We are not here to defend ourselves every day. We have told you what the truth is. The leadership of IPOB knows the truth. And they don't, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu in prison, wherever he is, he knows the truth. I don't know the truth. Therefore, the confusing element here, my brothers and sisters, is the Nigerian government agents, like Mr. Ibi Didi, who have camouflaged amongst you, who are causing confusion. So time has come for us also to take back the same confusion. Ibe Didi, you are an agent of Nigerian government, planted here to confuse. You are the people who must have known where Mr. Namdi Khan was. Ask where. He must have told people where he was, not us. Therefore, don't confuse us and make our lives very difficult. Threaten my workers when I'm not here. You are very stupid. Very stupid. Don't bring that bad habits on a television station every day. Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's move on. The situation in South Africa is becoming very unbearable. The youths in KwaZulu-Natal are becoming unbearable. They want Zuma released. The truth about Zuma's arrest and jailing has come out now. The truth is, the judge who sentenced Zuma should have recused himself from the case, because he has produced a child with Zuma's one of the wives. So Africa is African judiciary culture. Tawish.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dr. Masanga, and of course, the audience who continue to watch this program, and my colleague panelists who are making the immense contribution on this program. Dr. Masanga, I think looking onto the situation in South Africa, it's really a great pity that we have a judiciary that is captured, a judiciary that is completely compromised, a judiciary that is hell-bent.
Tawish, before you go ahead, a judiciary that kidnaps people. A judiciary in Africa that arranges to kidnap a person. The Attorney General of Nigeria cannot tell us where he kidnapped Namdi Khan. He has been quiet. And is spoiling Kenya's name. The name of Kenya is being spoiled. Yet the Attorney General of Kenya, of Nigeria, of the so-called Federal Republic of Buhari, a ghost president Buhari. Is Buhari the real one? Or there's another one? To look, there's another. This is a ghost, I think. The man doesn't know what is happening. How can you not say we got him from country X because we were working on paper A, Y, B, C, D? Go ahead. Is the judiciary therefore? By the way, is there a judiciary in Nigeria? Or there is a Sharia law? There is Sharia law with that judge who said his papers were eaten by termites. You remember? Proceed.
Dr. Masanga, a judiciary can only be there if it is working independently. But if it's a judiciary that is held hostage, a judiciary that has been captured by external forces, then it ceases to be a judiciary. It ceases to be an organ or an institution that the ordinary people really can rely in terms of getting justice. And I think it is very unfortunate that in this particular case of former President Jacob Zuma, that the judiciary has become part and parcel of that cartel to frustrate, blackmail, and see former President Jacob Zuma actually being jailed, being dragged to court, being humiliated, being embarrassed. This is something that is unfortunate, something that is uncalled for in our continent today in the 21st century, Dr. Masanga. Also looking onto the immense contribution that President Zuma ever did, of course, in South Africa. It didn't really call for whatever kind of treatment that is going through as we speak today. And it is important, Dr. Masanga, that you brought the aspect of conflict of interest amongst some of the judges, or these particular judges who have overseen President Jacob Zuma actually being incarcerated as we speak today. So, Dr. Masanga, I think there has to be that separation, there has to be that independence from the judiciary. But if they do and continue to do the work the way they are doing, not only in South Africa, we have seen these examples all over the continent of Africa, and Kenya is one of those examples, that we have judiciary and individuals working in this judiciary who are not serving the interests of the people, who are not actually working according to the norms and the mandate and the obligation with which they were appointed to do, but also serving external interests and external forces, Dr. Masanga. And it is unfortunate that, of course, President Zuma has become one of the victims of such kind of external forces in as far as the fissures in the judiciary and the hostage is concerned. Dr. Masanga, I submit.
Thank you very much. Saxon Zima from Harare in Zimbabwe. Your comment on the judiciary in Africa.
Yeah. The judiciary in Africa, like I always said, is now used to destabilize nations. And the situation in South Africa is spiraling out of control. Very soon, if the demonstrations continue, I don't foresee President Ramaphosa enjoying the second term. He will be recalled, and South Africa is already a ticking time bomb. The white supremacists captured the courts, and the rulings that were made by the Zondo Commission, where the same commission refused to ignored one white guy who refused to testify. But that white guy went ahead, nothing, no sentence, no what. And in President Zuma's case, he was sentenced 15 months. And this is angered the African members of the African National Congress, that we seem to be, the justice system seems to be supporting the apartheid system and humiliating those who fought to end it. And under whose bidding these judges doing? Meaning that the brown envelopes seem to be playing a part. In the events of the last 48 hours is a cause for concern to everyone, that if South Africa implodes because of a ruling by a judge who is biased, then I think something needs to be done. I submit.
Thank you very much. Jabani Karanja, briefly tell us before we come to Esonga to do his summary and we move on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I agree with the statements made by the previous contributors to the topic, that in Africa we are staring at a very awkward situation, because we have a judiciary that is a captive of the external factors, a captive of political players who are not in good terms with the ruling, with the incumbency that we have across Africa. Because when you look at the situation that we have in South Africa, where the former president Jacob Zuma has been jailed for 15 months for allegation of contempt of court, then you see that when judges are making this kind of ruling, they are not looking at the bigger picture. Because now as we speak, the situation is almost getting out of control. Youths have gone into the streets. They have blocked cars. Therefore, the economy is not growing in those aspects, because there's a lot of push and pull because of the ruling that was made by these courts. Therefore, we see a situation where we need to have judiciary that upholds the constitution, a judiciary that works to ensure that the justice of the people in Africa is safeguarded, a judiciary that ensures that justice is delivered to all without biasness, without prejudice, without favorism, and without any kind of bad blood between those who are seeking judiciary and those who are delivering justice. Because at the end of the day, if we go on, if this kind of situation escalates to other parts of Africa, where head of state will be taken to court anyhowly, the situation will be unbearable, and we'll reach a point where things will get out of control and people will get into streets and they'll be ungovernable, and they might also suspend this constitution, because a constitution needs to work for the people, not to work to suit the interest of political elites or to suit the interest of those activists who fund this rogue judiciary that we have in countries in Africa. Therefore, it's a bad situation, and things need to be done the right way to avoid this kind of a situation. And this is a wake-up call to the judiciary that we have in Kenya, a judiciary that is biased, a judiciary that is that has bad relationship with the president, a judiciary that is ensuring it stumbles, it sabotages the agenda of President Uhuru Kenyatta. If this kind of situations continue, it might get off control, and people will take law on their hand, and we don't to get to that situation. Therefore, the best we can do is to ensure that we have a clean judiciary, to ensure that we sanitize the rogue judges that we have, so that at least we can have, and justice will be seen to be done in the public eye. I submit.
Thank you very much, President. Ramaphosa of South Africa has just called on his nation to take headline that has just come in, breaking news. Ramaphosa calls for calm amid violence after Zuma is jailed. There you are, I told you. It is done. South Africa seems to be moving towards what I've been predicting here, Tawish and the Saxon Zuma. In the year 2015, I told this same television, in the presence of people like Tawish, Wesonga, and others, that there will be 15 countries in sub-Saharan Africa that I targeted for regime change, violent. And so far, we had 14. By January, was it? We had about 13 by January. My prediction analysis was very clear that George Soros has paid courts, has paid opposition. I don't subscribe to opposition politics anymore, because opposition politics, people go for dollars to pick a few dollars from George Soros and come to shout, we don't want you. I don't want that. I'm not interested in that type of politics. I'm interested in a constructive engagement to find a peaceful arrangement for the states in Africa. Unfortunately, in Africa, no government can tolerate you to engage. Look at what Buhari has done to Biafrans. Wesonga, they have just said, we need a referendum. But Buhari has gone there with violence to kill them at night, to maim them, to defile them, to rape the children, the women. That's what Buhari has done, to arm the Fulani against other tribes. That's what Buhari has done. Look at that. So, I warned you that this is going to happen. And the Safari is a place where we have the huge number of NGOs. Over 2,000 NGOs operate in South Africa with the express permission of the government. And George Soros pumps money in these NGOs. So you tell me, if Ramaphosa is not even aware of that, then he's shouting, oh, calm down the violence. You want to calm down the violence in Natal, KwaZulu Natal. It's already gone. Just do one thing as a president. Just nullify, use the presidential directives to set Zuma free. After all, those who killed in apartheid are still walking and eating popcorns and eating, what are these other things in the sea which are not fish? What are they called?
Lobsters.
No, and now there is a number. Everybody wants them when they go to a hotel. Oh, bring me what? What are those things? Not lobster. There's a general name for it. Prawns. You should be prawns. The guy who killed the people, Stephen Biko, is still around there. Why do you jail Zuma? When the state has captured itself. South Africa created a state within a state. There is an organization there that still operates like a mercenary organization. As you find them in the Central African Republic, Bangui. If you ask what they are, what this organization is doing there, you talk to one South African, he says, I work for Paramount Group. What is the Paramount Group in South Africa? You are from, what is this group called Paramount? You go to Mozambique, you are eating your food, you relax, you see a smart South African sits near you. You know, they don't have an idea. They tell you, Paramount Group. Have you seen where Paramount Group has brought you now? South Africa has become one of the most stumbling block on the continent as far as integration of Africa is concerned. When it comes to the visa, they don't give you visa. When it comes to killing Nigerians, they kill Nigerians. Have you seen? God is not working very properly. He's working in that direction. You see where now they have been captured by the white supremacists, as Saxon was saying. I submit.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, the fellow panelists have wrapped it up. And on my take, I think it is a similar problem that we have here in Kenya. And that now brings into the limelight the question of accountability in the judiciary. Because as it is in South Africa, the judiciary has ceased to be the sole institution that safeguards the constitution, but rather has become a conduit of impunity, also a conduit for the foreign interference through the NGOs. And that case against former President Jacob Zuma now lays bare the rot in the South African judiciary. And just like Kenya, whatever they need, I think it is to do an overhaul of judiciary, purge the corrupt judges like the one who, with the ill intentions against Zuma, having had a relationship with one of his wives, gave him an outrageous sentence of getting him into jail. So I think it is something to be fixed, just like we have here in Kenya, and therefore South Africa being one of the major economies in Africa, it only paints a picture of how the judiciary across Africa has been infiltrated by NGOs, and it has been captured actually with these foreign powers, in that it no longer serves the purpose of the of delivering justice to the citizenry, rather to individuals and these particular bodies, NGOs, and the foreign powers. I submit, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much. The question that I leave to Kenyans, and which I will leave to Kenyans, is coming. So let's move on. What is the next subject? We have a few minutes left.
Yes, the next now subject, we're going to be looking at Zimbabwe, and that has got everything to do with the IMF, where the IMF ignored the opposition propaganda and agreed that Zimbabwe is actually recovering economically. So that is what we're going to be looking at, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much. We have Zina from Harare. But first of all, let me make it very quick. A stupid lumpen called Tendai Biti, a malcontent. You know, Saxon, one of the things that I was taught in school, using J.A. Bright, is description of individuals. Saxon Zima, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
I was taught my English. I started, you know, my book. You ask any Zimbabwean from the rank who are about 60, they will tell you there was a book called J.A. Bright.
Okay.
That's the only Englishman. Or ask any Nigerian, anybody from Africa, not Nigeria, not Buhari. Buhari didn't go to school. So, Buhari just tall and tall with height, but up here still. So, they will tell you there was a book called J.A. Bright. one of the things my English teacher used to emphasize emphasis was description, material, describe. So that's why you see the way I describe malcontents, like Mr. Tendai Biti, big in volume but zero in brain, and he has very bad lips to describe, to talk about Zimbabwe, which is, it's not hate speech at all. But you look at him, I don't know how women marry such people. But I am, they are very handsome Zimbabweans who are worth to be talked about. Tendai Biti is one of the few people who went around the world telling World Bank, we stopped him in the World Bank. You remember the letter I wrote about the World Bank?
Yes.
I won. Have you seen the World Bank stopping any money on Zimbabwe?
No.
I blocked him. And I was telling you, let's do likewise. IMF. And we did it. We again forwarded the same letter to IMF, telling IMF that this Tendai Biti is a useless guy, is a thief, is a corrupt man in Zimbabwe. And he turns around, he's actually worse than Buhari. He turns around and says Zimbabwe government is not doing very well. When you look at the projects that are taking shape in Zimbabwe, Saxon, surely you can condemn Mnangagwa for not working. Surely?
No.
Tell us.
No, what happened, the IMF a month ago produced the results that our economy was going to grow in 2020-21 by 6%. This did not go down with these guys. Prior to that, our finance minister had predicted an 8%. Only last week, the IMF revised the same figures and says the economy of Zimbabwe is going to grow by 7%, making it the fastest growing in the region. And Tendai Biti condemned the IMF, saying they are now being paid. They are not doing proper work. And Tendai Biti is not an economist, he's just a lawyer. And to him, anything positive about Zimbabwe doesn't go well with him, because these guys have been relying on protest vote. So anything negative has served them right. Anything positive about Zimbabwe is a negative to them, because they are being paid by their masters, and they have to sing for their supper. He clearly even accused the IMF of being paid by ZANU-PF to write such a report, which is myopic, which is the same IMF is the one that he was, when he was the finance minister, he was relying on, maybe even using the USDR, which he looted, the social drawing rights, which he even looted from the same IMF, and is one of the guys who even went and proposed, is actually the author of the USDR. To him, his mission is failing apart, and his masters are acknowledging that the Zimbabwean economy is growing, and by trying to condemn the IMF, is singing for his supper. Double standards. He doesn't want anything positive for Zimbabwe, and we are great. Dr. Matsanga managed to block his appointment in the World Bank, which was going to be chaotic if he had assumed that post. I submit.
Thank you very much. And I don't think we needed to dwell much on that, Mr. Punchline headquarters.
Yes, of course, now we shall just move to our last topic, and that is in regards to the elections in Ethiopia. And the question is, whose election was it? So, Doc, you can take from that.
I think Japan Karanja and Wesonga and Tawishi, or the son and the Saxon, will enjoy this, plus yourself. Whose election is it? You win 416 seats against 12, a country that is at war. Then you declare yourself the winner. Whose election was it? I told you here again, and that remember me, I'm not near Prophet Elijah's relatives. But I predicted and I said, Tawish is there smiling. I said, Anybody in Africa who gets a Nobel Prize laureate, that thing there, what is it called? A Nobel Prize. Is a Nobel Prize is doomed to fail.
Yes, Nobel Prize. Yeah.
Nobel Prize. The only person who managed to get Nobel Prize and escaped is Wangai. Wangai Madari, the Kenyan mama. The rest in Africa have a problem. Look at what Mandela did for us. Mandela left a litany of difficulties. People in South Africa would not be jailing Zuma. Had Mandela taken a stand, which was welcomed by very many people, he left us halfway. Mandela should have taken Chris Han's route. South Africa would be stable. A Nobel Prize winner in Africa, Nobel Prize winner in Africa, always failed. The president, the prime minister of Ethiopia, the first mistake he did was to shake hands with a terrorist across in Eritrea. Me, Zenawi, myself, the late Zenawi, Matanga, Ifaki, Isaias, he knows me. He has called me to go to Shimara several times. And I told him, you want to kill me there and throw me in Red Sea. I'll not come. Because we sat together in London in 1987 when they were fighting Mengistu Haile Mariam of Ethiopia. They were given, we are under the same auspices of the British government for relief agencies to resettle refugees in the United Kingdom. I worked with Isaias Ifaki and Zenawi the late and Dr. Tedros. Have you seen Tedros? That guy messing the World Health Organization. I told you. And I'm happy to see this with my own eyes. That the mistake that Prime Minister Abe made was to cross over and shake hands with a man who doesn't like him. And who doesn't like Ethiopians and Tigray. The guy used his anger to cross over Ethiopia to slaughter Tigray. They killed so many people. Today, Ethiopia is no more. Thank you, Tawish. Tawish?
Thank you so much, Dr. David Masanga, on this very topic. And I think, Dr. Masanga, you already elucidated on this particular topic in as far as the elections in Ethiopia are concerned. Because, again, the question is outright that whose election is it really? And by virtue of what has been happening, the kind of course, the turmoil that Ethiopia has been facing, it is almost unattainable to say that you can have an election that which the people can say they democratically participated, and therefore the results, or whose results reflect the democratic will to install the kind of leadership that they want in that particular country. And it's very, very unfortunate that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed can actually oversee such kind of a flawed and a premeditated or predetermined kind of an election in which he has, of course, went ahead, of course, to win himself. So I think basically, in short, Dr. Masanga, this election was more of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed than the people of Ethiopia. I submit, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much, Javani Karanja.
Thank you, Dr. David Matsanga and Tawish and Wesonga and for our viewers. And on the issue of Ethiopia, and you have already exhausted almost everything. I'll say that that election was not about the interests of the common people in Ethiopia, but it was about the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed positioning himself as a leader who can maybe gather all that kind of support. But when you look at Ted Kinley, he has been in the center stage of the war that is escalating every day in Ethiopia. He is not there offering solutions, but he is coming here declaring himself the winner of these elections. If he really cares for the people of Ethiopia, he needs to deal with the issue of Tigray region and ensure that the place is stabilized and ensure that the people in Ethiopia have peace. Because him as a Nobel Prize winner in peace, a world-class Nobel Prize of that magnitude, he needs to portray and to work by the nature of what that kind of a prize dictates, and that is to work and ensuring that peace prevails across Africa, because in this region he is a man maybe we could be looking up to, but the things that are happening in his country gives him a backseat when it comes to matter of peace and stability. Therefore, this election was not about the people of the ordinary citizens of Ethiopia, but it was about Abiy Ahmed Ahmed, the Prime Minister, and his personal interest. Thank you.
Wesonga, bring the curtain down.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, the submissions and the discussion around this particular election in Ethiopia brings us to the pivotal question that we've been asking on this platform over and over again. Does Africa really need elections? And of course, the answer is no, because elections does not mean, democracy does not mean the frequency at which we hold the elections, but the credibility, the fairness, and the validity of that particular elections. And in this regard, the election that we had in Ethiopia was just a decoy to validate the regime and the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. It had nothing to do with democracy. It had nothing to do with the people of Ethiopia. I conclude, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much, viewers. Wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for watching us. Thank you very much, our brothers from Biafra. Thank you very much. I've stood and we shall stand. We have stood by you for the last 6 years, agitating for rights, for equal rights, for a referendum, peacefully. And we have always said we shall loud and tell the world the truth from wherever you are, because nobody in Nigeria, no international agencies are telling the story, the true story of Biafra. For me, as an African, I have a duty to tell the story of Biafra. And for me, I still put it squarely in the hands and the legs and his clothes, in the clothes of President Muhammad Buhari, to come up and tell the world how, in the world, how, where, which way, how did he intercept? If a normal government that has brains should just tell the world how they intercepted Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, so that the speculations are not there. But at the moment, the Kenya government itself, I don't speak for them. Let them come out and say what they know, and they have said it. They don't know. Let Nigeria tell them. If Nigeria operated illegally on the Kenyan soil, there is also a recourse and international law that catches a country that operates wrongly, and there's a wrong state going about to kidnap and kill people and go back and intercept people, carry them at night and drop them across into their countries. That is not what the state of affairs should be. Never should it be. It should not be in Africa, the one of 21st century. 2, to my Kenyan friends, I'm not a Kenyan, but I'm a global citizen, a citizen of Africa who always yearns for Africa, a citizen of Africa who stands for Africa. I just want to ask you one question. If you claim to be, purport to be a deputy president of a country that you hate when you are in that country, how then do you go and represent that country abroad, the same country you hate? I leave that question to a Songa to expound on it in a good analysis. A deputy president claims to be the deputy president of Kenya, goes abroad in Uganda to masquerade as a deputy in a government he doesn't like, then he comes back to be a deputy. He doesn't report to the president, who does not listen, who did not even tell him to go there, because he's told us he went for a private visit. My question, therefore, Javan Karanja, listen to this. And Tawish, why? Always whenever I sleep, I go to bed. Ask you one question. Why Africa? Why is it that Africa is a place why the right gets it wrong and the left doesn't get it right? Have you understood my question, Tawi? Karanja, Wesonga. Why? And my fellow Biafrans, why? And why is it in only Africa where the right gets it wrong and the left doesn't get it either? Tawish, is it puzzling your head? Karanja and the other viewers, are you puzzled by that question? Because you come up and blame the same man who is helping you, who has helped you for free for 6 years. You condemn him and vilify him. Call him names. A man who is as poor as a church mouse, who doesn't know even what $1 million is. Look at that. Why in Africa the right gets it wrong, the left doesn't get it either? Sleep over it, and Tawish, you're a good writer. Produce me and Mr. Jonjo. Mr. Jonjo, by your suits. Produce me a very good narrative. Karanja, think about it. You go and say, you're president, you're deputy president of Kenya. You go to and lie to President Museveni. You are the deputy president of Kenya. Then whatever you discuss there is printed out in the paper. But you don't tell the president of another country that I have a problem with my president. We don't talk. That when you come back, whatever you talk to President Museveni, you have not told what you talk, what your president, the one you went claiming to be represented. Are you not ashamed? Are we Africans? What? Why were we called black people? Why didn't they do half color? Yellow, one eye would look like a Chinese, maybe would have brains. Do you know that if we had one eye look like a Chinese, Matsanga's eyes almost looked like a Chinese? Isn't it? I'm happy mine look like a Chinese. Tawish's eyes don't look like a Chinese. So Karanja's eyes almost looked like a Chinese. I wish we had made, God could make us half. But God decided to make us black. And then this black color has made us very stupid people. All of us are very bad people. Look at what Buhari is doing. Look at what Judge Zondo is doing to South Africa. He's banning South Africa. Look at the judges in Kenya. What are they doing? They are banning Africa. Why are we banning Africa? Is it true that black is associated with bad omen? Have you watched the films in Africa The film is from Hollywood in California. The black man is the one who is beaten more. We song. Sorry.
In fact, beaten to death.
When you watch a black policeman, he's the one beaten to death. So why were we given this color? Why didn't they create Matanga with a Chinese mind halfway? And then we could have been very good people. China 30 years ago, Karanja and my viewers, China was the poorest country on the continent of Africa with one rice scheme to feed the Chinese, and we give us half Ugandans. 40 years ago, the only rice scheme in the world, China put it in Uganda. Today, China lends us money which we corruptly use. Like Buhari with his oil, he has gone to borrow money from China. And I think people in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Onitsha, Nambra, all these states, you have seen so many Chinese becoming vendors, street hawkers, even selling things that they cannot, because Buhari has taken their money. Very soon, you will be blaming them for having come to work hard, and they have, by the time they leave, they will have, I think the next generation will have Nigeria, China. Nigeria, China, the eyes are going to come. I think so, yeah. Because Chinese are producing so many children. You know, the Chinese produce very fast. Did you know that? Karanja? Don't allow your sister to go near Chinese. They have double entry. That's why they were put under the limit to produce only one child. Yeah. So Africa, we are going to have a problem. In 10, 20 years to come, we shall have Chinese Africa, Sino-Africa. And maybe that's when Africa will raise up and shine again. Thank you very much. This station, therefore, is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. Ciao.